जब बंदे की वेडिंग एनिवर्सरी आती है तो उसकी मत मारी जाती है, उसको समझ ही नहीं आता मैं क्या करूं. अच्छा जी, क्वेश्चंस 21 एंड 24 वो कहते हैं अपनी लाइक इट इज सेड इन इंग्लिश, द बेस्ट वे टू रिमेंबर योर वेडिंग एनिवर्सरी इज टू फॉरगेट इट वंस. Then your wife will tell you, okay? Then you will never forget it. You will always remember that, okay? Like, you know, people like him say, एक दफा मुझे भूल गई थी, तोबा तोबा, right? So after that, you will always remember that, okay? So, questions 21 to 24, presentation about refrigeration. Now listen. This is the real multiple choice. In IELTS listening, we have 3 type of multiple choice. Type 1, out of 3 options, you have to select 1. Type 2, out of 5 options, you have to select 2. Type 3, out of 7 options, you have to select 3. But that type is very uncommon these days. But still we have it. You don't know in your actual exam, they give you that out of 7, select 3. But the method is same. You must eliminate the wrong choices. Instead of looking for the right answer, look for the wrong answer and cross it. Now, for example, in multiple choice ABC, if you successfully eliminate one option, now success rate is 50-50. Even tukkas will be, flukes will be fine as well, right? So carefully you got to do that. Okay. Presentation about refrigeration. Refrigeration means refrigerator, fridge, deep freezer and all that. So there is a presentation. Now I want you to imagine that you have a presentation on refrigeration. And in part 3, mostly there are 2 people talking. In part 4, there is a lecture, 1 speaker only. In part 1, there is a dialogue, 2 people are talking. In part 2, sometimes it's 1 person talking, otherwise there are 2 people. Right? Did you notice when they were talking about maps, there was only 1 person? Yes, so you need to identify and you should know that in part 4, there will be 1 lecture, 1 person. Part 1, there'll be 2 speakers like this. Okay, now we've got this question number 21. What did Annie what did Annie discover from reading about ice houses? Now this time you will listen to Annie. Yet you will listen to Annie carefully because she discovered. Now for discover, she might use the word I found out, I realized, I came to know, right? So what did Annie discover from reading about ice houses? So ice houses and Annie discovered something. Okay, now let me tell you how to read and what to focus the options. In multiple choice options, there are 3 parts of speech which are very, very important. The first one is noun, second is verb, and third is adjective. Noun, verb, adjective. Let's see. Why they were first created. Underline why first created. See that short option, and you will do it when they give you half minute to read the questions. Quickly you will skim. Why created. How the ice was kept frozen. How ice kept frozen. How ice kept frozen. So what did she discover? Now for example, if she says, I already knew how they were created first. I already knew. But what I discovered or what I found out about it, then they will talk about that. Okay, option C. Where they were located. They means what? They का क्या मतलब है? Ice houses. And you should know that in multiple choice options they use pronouns. And you must know what is the noun of that pronoun. For example, option A. Why ice houses were first created. Option B. Why ice was kept, how ice was kept frozen. And option C, where ice houses were located. So whatever she discovered, now she will say 2 things I already knew. I had some idea about that, but what I found out, that is going to be the answer. So let's see.
Okay, Jack. Before we plan our presentation about refrigeration, let's discuss what we've discovered so far.
Fine, Annie. Though I have to admit, I haven't done much research yet.
Nor me. But I found an interesting article about ice houses. I'd seen some 18th and 19th century ones here in the UK, so I knew they were often built in a shady area or underground, close to lakes that might freeze in the winter. Then blocks of ice could be cut and stored in the ice house. But I didn't realise that insulating the blocks with straw or sawdust meant they didn't melt for months.
I didn't realize they didn't melt for months. Option B, how ice was kept frozen. She used the word I didn't realize. Please listen to it again. They discussed option B and C. There wasn't any clear mention of option A. So please listen to it again.
Okay, Jack. Before we plan our presentation about refrigeration, let's discuss what we've discovered so far.
Fine, Annie. Though I have to admit I haven't done much research yet.
Nor me. But I found an interesting article about ice houses. I'd seen some 18th and 19th century ones here in the UK, so I knew they were often built in a shady area.
I knew they were often built in a shady area. That is where they were located. And she's saying I knew. She knew about that already. Now she's going to come to this.
Or underground, close to lakes that might freeze in the winter. Then blocks of ice could be cut and stored in the ice house. But I didn't realise that insulating the blocks with straw or sawdust meant they didn't melt for months.
They didn't melt for months mean how the ice was kept frozen. So option B is the right answer. Okay, let's go on. Question number 22. What point does Annie make about refrigeration in ancient Rome? Ancient Rome, and Annie is going to make a point. Means she will say something about freezing things or refrigeration in ancient Rome. Now, option A, it became a commercial business. Underline commercial business. Option B, it used snow from nearby. Used snow nearby. And option C, it took a long time to become popular. Took long time to be popular. Or took long time to popular, like that. Okay. Now, what point does Annie make? Listen, again 3 points, and 2 points will be discussed negatively or oppositely. For example, it became a commercial business. If she says, all right, let's see. Option B, it used snow from nearby. If she says they used snow from a far off locations. Far off location is not the nearby one, it's the opposite. C, it took a long time to become popular. And if she says it became popular within short time, then C is not the right answer. Okay, so let's see.
The ancient Romans had refrigeration too.
I didn't know that.
Yes, pits were dug in the ground and snow was imported from the mountains, even though they were at quite a distance. The snow was stored in the pits. Ice formed at the bottom of it. Both the ice and the snow were then sold. The ice cost more than the snow, and my guess is that only the wealthy members of society could afford it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, B is it used snow from nearby. She said mountains, far off mountains. So it's not B. And C is it took a long time to become popular, not mentioned. It became a commercial business. Only rich people could afford it. I play this one again.
The ancient Romans had refrigeration too.
I didn't know that.
Yes, pits were dug in the ground and snow was imported from the mountains, even though they were at quite a distance.
Even though they were at quite a distance, so it's not B.
The snow was stored in the pits. Ice formed at the bottom of it. Both the ice and the snow were then sold. The
Okay, ice and snow were then sold.
ice cost more than the snow,
Sold means it became a commercial business. Ice cost more than snow.
and my guess is that only the wealthy members of society could afford it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Wealthy members of the society could afford it. Okay. Now, question number 23. In connection with modern refrigerator, both Annie and Jack are worried about. Now, they are worried about something. When they say both Annie and Jack, now there are 3 options. Jack will be worried about something. Annie will say, oh, question nahi hunda. Something like that. Then Annie will be worried about something. Jack will say, darya na kar. Okay. And if both are going to be worried about something, that will be your answer. Clear? Now I'm just telling you what the traps are and how they work. So in connection with modern refrigerators, underline modern refrigerators, the fridge and freezers in your house. They are modern refrigerators. Both Annie and Jack are worried about complexity of technology. Underline complexity technology. The fact that some are disposed of irresponsibly. Some means refrigerators disposed of irresponsibly. Refrigerators disposed of. Disposed of means people throw them. People throw them in the sea, for example. Disposed of irresponsibly. Option C, large number that quickly break down. Large number that break down means large number of refrigerators that quickly break down. कि जल्दी खराब हो जाते हैं. Now if they say refrigerators are so good that they hardly ever break down, means they never break down. So then option C is not the right answer. Right? Option A, complexity of technology. If she says the technology is very simple, so then it is not the answer. Fact that some are disposed of irresponsibly. If she says like people dispose of their refrigerators in a very good way, so there is nothing to worry about that. Now let's see what are they both worried about.
I also came across an article about modern domestic fridges. Several different technologies are used, but they were too complex for me to understand.
You have to wonder what happens when people get rid of old ones.
You mean because the gases in them are harmful for the environment?
Exactly. At least there are now plenty of organisations that will recycle most of the components safely. But of course, some people just dump old fridges in the countryside.
It's hard to see how they can be stopped, unfortunately. In the UK, we get rid of 3 million a year altogether.
That sounds a lot. Especially because fridges hardly ever break down.
That's right.
Fridges hardly ever break down. So it is not option C, large number that quickly breaks down. A is complexity of technology. It's only Jack who said that. Right? So the correct answer is B, fact that some are disposed of irresponsibly. Some refrigerators are disposed of irresponsibly. I play this one again, and the code is C, B, A. Oh, sorry. A, B, C. Absolutely. A, B, C. All right. Let's listen to it again. I'll stop it.
I also came across an article about modern domestic fridges. Several different technologies are used, but they were too complex for me to understand.
They were too complex for me to understand, right?
You have to wonder what happens when people get rid of old ones.
You have to wonder means she didn't actually agree on that. She said you have to wonder what people do when they get rid of old ones, old refrigerators. So if she would have said, yes, I also don't understand the complexity, then A could be the answer. Because the question is, Annie and both Jack and Annie worried about, okay? So Jack is worried about complexity of technology. Now Annie says about disposing them of.
You mean because the gases in them are harmful for the environment?
Exactly.
Exactly.
At least there are now plenty of organisations that will recycle most of the components safely. But of course, some people just dump old fridges in the countryside.
Some people dump old fridges in the countryside. जाके वहाँ फेंक आते हैं. अभी छोक लो. Okay? Some people throw them in the sea. Exactly.
Hard to see how they can be stopped, unfortunately. In the UK, we get rid of 3 million a year altogether.
That sounds a lot. Especially because fridges hardly ever break down.
That's right.
Fridges hardly ever break down. Large number that quickly break down? No. Fridges hardly ever. Fridge कभी खराब ही नहीं होती. अब आप कहेंगे साड़ी ते होंदी है. You should replace it. Anyways, question number 24. What do Jack and Annie agree? Again, agree. So on 2 points they will disagree. On 1 point they are going to agree. What do Jack and Annie agree regarding domestic fridges? Domestic fridges are the fridges which are used at home, and they agree on one thing. They means no. They means domestic fridges. Okay, over here they means domestic fridges. They are generally good value for money. So good value for money. पैसे पूरे हो गए. Something like that. Option B. There are plenty of useful variations. So plenty of useful variations. Like, domestic fridges, 2-door, 1-door, deep freezer, this and that. And option C, they are more useful than other domestic appliances. More useful than other domestic appliances. Like more useful than microwave oven, more useful than vacuum cleaner and all that. Now let's see. Jack and Annie agree. On 1 point they will agree. On 2 points they will disagree, right?
In this country, we keep domestic fridges for 11 years on average. and a lot lasts for 20 or more. So if you divide the cost by the number of years you can use a fridge, they're not expensive, compared with some household appliances.
True. I suppose manufacturers encourage people to spend more by making them different colours and designs. I'm sure when my parents bought their first fridge, they had hardly any choice.
Yes, there's been quite a change.
Huh? A, well done. They are generally good value for money, right? Now, option B, there are plenty of useful variations. Now, plenty of useful variations was not discussed. Only they use the word colors, right? So, not plenty of variation. Variation means entirely a new product, okay? And option C, more useful than other domestic appliances. They did not compare. They just talked about other domestic appliances. So, the code which you should write is A, C, B. I play it again.
In this country, we keep domestic fridges for 11 years on average, and a lot lasts for 20 or more. So if you divide the cost by the number of years you can use a fridge, they're not expensive.
They're not expensive. When they're not expensive means they are good value for money. Like fridge itne ki 50,000 ke liye 10 saal chal gayi. 5,000 rupees per year. Something like that. So they are generally good value for money. A is the right answer and they both agree on that. How do we understand they agree? She said true. Okay, I'll play it again.
In this country, we keep domestic fridges for 11 years on average, and a lot lasts for 20 or more. So if you divide the cost by the number of years you can use a fridge, they're not expensive, compared with some household appliances.
True.
True. Okay, so now let's go on to option C.
I suppose manufacturers encourage people to spend more by making them different colours and designs.
Oh, that is option B. By making them different colors and designs. So colors and designs are not variations.
I'm sure when my parents bought their first fridge, they had hardly any choice.
Yes, there's been quite a change.
Alright, but what about this? Useful than domestic appliances. It came before.
In this country, we keep domestic fridges for 11 years on average, and a lot lasts for 20 or more. So if you divide the cost by the number of years you can use a fridge, they're not expensive, compared with some household appliances.
Yeah, compared with some household appliances. Now see, more useful. Actually he said they are not expensive. Not more useful. He used the word they are not more expensive. So what will be the order now? It's A, C, and then B, I guess so. Okay. So again, the conclusion is, in order to deal with multiple choice questions, you have to eliminate the wrong choices, number one. Number two, only focusing the right answer will lead you towards any trap and you will think that trap is the right answer. And the third thing is, whenever you practice multiple choice, listen to the audio carefully and pay full attention. If A is the right answer, why B and C are wrong answers. If B is the right answer, why A and C are the wrong answers. And if C is the right answer, why A and B are wrong. Once you identify this thing that yes, I understand C is the right answer, this is the reason, A, B are wrong answers for that reason, then multiple choice will not be a problem, right? Thank you.